Hi, I'm Sara Schaefer. We live in hell. Let's craft through it. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Welcome to episode 4. I'm still doing this. Can you believe it? I have not quit yet. We've at least got another 3 episodes in us. Hopefully this will be going on for years. There he goes making noise. I'm going to start over now. I'm so itchy. Okay. I'm just going to wait. Whatever, we'll just go ahead. Hi, my name is Sara Schaefer. We live in hell. Let's craft through it. Welcome to Crafting Through It, episode 4. We are still doing it. We are still doing this show. We've made it past 3 episodes. That is a huge achievement for me. Because it is a lot of work. You know, it's not just me sitting here crafting, it's a lot of planning. Doing a new craft every week is proving to already be, it's not that I can't come up with ideas, it's just there is a lot of turnover in terms of the mess I make, the stuff I'm doing. But so far, plenty of ideas in the cooker and excited to keep going. Thank you so much to everyone who's been watching and leaving comments. I've gotten a couple emails. Send me emails if you want. I won't respond. No, I might respond. If you're not an asshole. All right. What did I do this week? Well, let's see. We got a few things going on. I made a care package for my bestie, Courtney. I grew up with her here in Richmond, and she is a federal worker. And so is her husband, and they have been impacted by everything that's been going on. He actually worked past tense for USAID and found out this week that he has been officially laid off and let go. Not an ideal situation, and her job is okay for now, but just, she's like, it's chaos. And so I put together a little care package for her. I put in some cute index cards. I put in a couple other little things, some delicious chamomile tea that I have, so she could maybe have a cup while taking a bath or something and relax. So I sent her that. Let's see. I have been experiencing some skin issues. Look. What I'm about to tell you, if you've been watching this show since the beginning, you're going to start going, Sara, maybe you need to shower more. No, I don't. Once every 2 days is still okay. However, I've been having bumps, itchy bumps on my legs. Okay. Now this coincided with me. This might be too much information. I don't give a shit. It coincided with me shaving my legs for the first time in a while. Like, I had let it get real wild down there. And maybe 4 or 5 days later, I don't know if it was razor burn or I had an infection or something, but it was just on fire, like bumps. But then extra bumps in the pits of my knees. And it's been really dry here, cold, although it's warming up now. And I also have been experiencing some allergies. Anyway, I have these itchy bumps on my skin, and they seem to it seems to settle down and then get flared up again if I'm hot or sweaty. I mean, it could be eczema. This is the problem. When you look up itchy red bumps on your skin, it could be a million different things. Eczema. It could be a fungus. It could be scabies. Now, trust me, I went deep on researching scabies because I was like, my God, if I have scabies. It's also known as mange. I might have the mange. And I don't think I have scabies, but if it doesn't go away, I'm going to go to the doctor. Don't worry. But it's just crazy because it's like one thing will say, you know, put this kind of cream on it, and another will say, no, do this kind of cream, and like so you're just like doing trial and error. I was like putting one kind on one leg and the other on the other to like do an experiment. But the only thing that really seems to help is, you know, taking a shower, antibacterial soap, but that's moisturizing like Dove, and then putting a lot of lotion on and like keeping it cool. Like right now I'm wearing like shorts, overalls, so that they're not like rubbing up against anything. I don't think it's shingles. I've had shingles before. That's a totally different thing. It like hurts, it burns after the initial itch, and it looks like it just looks bad. Anyway, you do not want to hear this. It's so gross. It's too much information. At least I'm not showing them to you. That would be too much. Anyway, the reason I'm saying all this is that dominated a lot of my week. And we went over to my brother's house and I was telling them about this, and, you know, they're like kind of making fun of me, like, do you have scabies? And like my niece goes, she's 8, about to turn 9. She goes, show me the bumps, like that, just in that exact way. Show me the bumps. I was like, I'm not showing you the bumps. Like, but anyway, that's the quote of the week this week. Show me the bumps. And I think it will relate a little bit to what we get into in a weird roundabout way. I'll make it fit. Don't you worry about that. That's my job. I'll make the quote of the week work. What else? In the news, crafting news, JoAnn's unfortunately did announce that all the stores will close. The Gordon brothers ended up not purchasing. It was another like Great American or something like that. According to the JoAnn Reddit, people say the Great American or whatever it's called is slightly better than Gordon Brothers, but it's still the same result, which is all the stores are closing, they're liquidating. And so my local JoAnn's is going to go bye-bye. And that's really sad. For the people that work there and like me and everyone that shops there. So I went over there today to just kind of see what the vibe was. And I get there at like 9:30. And there's not that many people in the parking lot. So I was like, maybe the crowds haven't started yet. Because they're saying that most of the stores will stay open until May. There's no announcement yet on when my store would officially close. So I went in and it was chill, but everything was on sale, and the signs looked a little different than they normally do. Normally it's like, if you go there a lot, you know, like, oh, they're running a 40% off on paper this week, and it looks a certain way, and it has like little asterisks like, does not include this, does not, you know, blah, 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 does not apply to sale items. But this time it was just like a really simple sign on each type of item, like 30% off this type of item, you know, 25% off paper crafting supplies, like all of it. And every single thing in the whole store is discounted right now, but I saw most of it was between 20 and 30% off. So it's not the deep discount yet, but some stuff that normally would never be discounted is discounted. So I saw one dude in the Cricut aisle. He was on speaker with his wife. And he's like, okay, they got a scoring stylus. She's like, yep, put that in the cart. Like, he was getting all the stuff. And, you know, it was kind of like, you feel like, oh my God, I should just buy everything that I'll ever need. You don't need to do that. But I also was trying to be smart about it. So I did a few laps through the store, and I noticed the stuff, and I could like kind of observe what other people were buying. And I noticed that the things that were being bought now were things that were a little more high priced, that won't, or they have a lower stock that won't last until the bigger discounts hit. So for instance, like I got these little clips. They're kind of like, you use them for sewing instead of pins, to pin your fabric, so, to, you know, keep your fabric together. And these are pretty pricey, and but there was only one left, and I've been wanting these, so I went ahead and just took I think it was like 25% off. So, so stuff like that was going. A lot of the stuff I noticed, like the shelves for stuffing for pillows, batting for quilts, like that aisle was almost empty already. I got a bunch of thread. Like, I could tell which thread people like because of what was like almost gone. And so I got some thread that was on sale, like buy 3, get 2 free or something. But other things I was like, I almost bought like a storage bin, but there was a ton of them. And so I was like, wait, just wait. It will go down. But everyone was being respectful. By the time I left, there was a long line, as there always is at JoAnn's. And it was funny, I had to stop. I stopped at Michael's right after because there was something I needed for today's episode. And there was almost no one there. And I was like, interesting. Everybody's going to JoAnn's right now. So yeah, it's sad. I'm going to take advantage of the sales, you know, because it's the only silver lining in the whole thing. And, you know, it made me think like, God, I would love to open like a secondhand craft store, slash maybe some new products. And I know an independently owned business, you have to charge more to make profit. You know, it's not the same as a big box store. So it would be a huge undertaking, but for over a year now, I've been daydreaming about opening some kind of craft store slash upcycle. And there are a couple places in Richmond along those lines, but nothing out in my area, in my suburbs that I can tell. And I feel like there's a need for it, especially now that JoAnn's is closing. So should I write up a business plan? Should I just throw myself into something I don't know anything about? Why not? Fuck it. No. Maybe. We'll see. I need to kind of settle into this new project first instead of doing that. I want to talk about my thrift store slash secondhand find of the week, which leads to the craft. So on Facebook Marketplace, so let me give you the backstory. Our couch is one of the only pieces of furniture that we brought from LA, moving wise. And because it was a pretty nice couch that we bought only a few years before we left. It was from West Elm. It's like this, you know, Danish modern looking thing. It's really, when it was new, it was really pretty. And it has like a chase lounge sectional part. And that's like my spot. Like I can lay down, curl up, sit up, do whatever. And that's my spot. But it was something about the way it was made, the base frame or whatever, that the like cushions would sag off the edge. And I even put like industrial Velcro to keep the cushions from like going forward and sagging even more. And that didn't really help. You'd have to constantly, and it had these like loose throw pillow type cushions instead of like regular cushions, which are pretty, but they get mushed. You know, you have to punch the pillows and the cushions all the time. And it just started to look dingy because it was like this light gray beige pebble stone, pebble beach or something was the color. And it just started to look shabby. And so Scott and I have been looking for a new couch situation, also because we kind of want to rearrange the room that it's in, our living room. So we found this mint condition, like literally down the street from us, on an estate sale, mint condition 70s couch, maybe 60s, with this pattern on it. I'll post a picture eventually, but of the whole thing, and a matching seat. Pristine mint condition. They must have had plastic on it because it was just like, there's not one stain. There's a little wear on a couple parts, but and I don't know if they had it like filled at some point or the springs redone. I don't know, but it's comfortable. And so we bought it for a steal, and we're trying to offload the big West Elm couch. And it just kind of goes to show you, like, newer furniture, even from a nice place like West Elm, is just not as good maybe as older stuff that was better made. This couch and the couch and chair were both made in North Carolina. And North Carolina is known for quality furniture, so we got this beautiful pattern. It's a bold choice. Bold choice. We're going to have to make some adjustments to the other decor. The rug might need to be changed. And we need new accent pillows, which leads to the craft of the week. Ding! So I am going to show you how I made a new cover for an accent pillow. Now I want to say, okay, so this is the prototype. It's actually not completely done yet because I'm going to actually take out this fill and do it over again. And plus I think the second one will look neater, although I can still use this cover. I think it's fine. But isn't that pretty? I got this fabric, this big roll of like, it's kind of more, it's not super heavy duty upholstery, but it is like an upholstery fabric. I got it at a thrift store in Charlottesville for $10 and it's quite a bit of it. I thought this actually, it's not a perfect match, but it does kind of look good on the couch. Like it's sort of just, it coordinates a little bit. We'll see. I don't know. I might end up using a different fabric, but this is such a pretty fabric. I thought, why not show you how I make an accent pillow new cover. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's do it. Okay, first what I'm going to do is, so let's say you have a pillow with a cover on it you don't want to use anymore. You want to change it out. Or you have a pillow form that you want to put a cover on. I mean, you can go to thrift stores and you can find, they always have accent pillows, and you can like rip off the cover if you want and use that fill for a new pillow if you want. Or you can buy a new pillow form. I don't care. I'm not going to judge you. So I'm going to take these pins out and I think Show Me the Bumps is basically going to be the theme of this episode, because I, full disclosure, am not a very good sewist. Just really, really novice, like probably even below novice. I can barely use a sewing machine. We'll get to that. But, and that's why I'm calling it Show Me the Bumps, because I'm showing you, I'm not an expert on this. There are definitely other videos for this exact type of project that are probably going to be more informative. But but I'm me, right? And you want to hang out with me, right? You're not here just to learn the craft. You're also here to be my friend, right? Right, Judy? I'm just assuming you're all named Judy. I did get a really nice email and a Etsy order from a woman named Jane. And so what I'm doing right now is taking the pillow out, the pillow form out. And I've gotten a couple other contacts from women who are like, I'm in my 60s, and almost like they're like, like I've gotten a few messages like, I relate to you so much, even though I'm in my 60s. And that's the thing though, is like, I don't think crafting is generational. It's actually one of my favorite things about crafting. It's intergenerational. It's something you can do with kids. It's something you can do with older people. It's just something that anybody can do. And it unites and connects generations, because a lot of these skills are passed down from one generation to the next. And that's just how it's been going on for thousands of years. So I love any and all ages, gender, race, religion, watching this show. I don't care, as long as you're not. And even if you are an asshole, thanks for the views. I don't care. Just don't let me know that you're an asshole. You know what I mean? Okay, so I've got this. This is a kind of an old pillow form. The pillow that was on it before was really kind of grubby, getting grubby. And so new couch, new pillow. So I already pre-cut just off the big roll kind of a piece so that I wouldn't have to like move the camera and stuff. So what I'm going to do, what I kind of learned with this case is I think I want it to be just a little bit smaller than the one I first made, just to make the pillow feel a little more puffy in there and fit more tightly in there, so that it's not, doesn't collapse or mush too much. So I did, basically for a 17-inch case, last time. So this time I'm going to go for a 16-inch case. That does not include the seam allowance. Now, again, I'm showing you the bumps. I'm showing you that I don't know that much about sewing. So please seek other guidance. I am not a medical professional, so this is not medical advice. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. I'm not a financial fiduciary, so you should talk to a professional about your money. And I'm not a professional sewist, so talk to one of them if there's any questions. But I will say, once you get the basic concept of this, whatever skill level you have, you will be able to do it. You could even do this without a sewing machine. It would just take longer and maybe require a little more care and perfection on your part. Okay, so I've got this big piece of fabric. What I need is 2 squares, the same size, and I'm gonna do a 16-inch square, but with a 1/2 inch seam allowance around all the edges. So if you do add up 2 sides, that adds up to 1 inch. Sometimes the seam allowance conversation, excuse me. Sometimes the seam allowance conversation confuses me, and I start to like, no, this is why I can't do it. Is it 2 times? Is it, and so yes, in this case, it's a square and it's a 1/2 inch all the way around. So each side that I'm measuring needs to be 2 1/2 inches, so 1 inch extra. So that means my square that I'm cutting is going to need to be 17 by 17 instead of 16 by 16. Does that make sense? Okay, so if it doesn't, I can't help you. Look up another video. That's my whole point. Okay, so the way I'm gonna do this is double this up. And I'm gonna try to fold this. So if you have a pattern that you're working with that's like more linear or checkered or something, and you want it to look straight, you're gonna have to pay attention to that when you make this cut, and make sure you're not cutting on a weird angle and it looks, unless you want, just think about the way you want it to look, is I guess my point. Guys, what if I fuck it up? I'm gonna quit everything. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty straight. I have never taken a sewing class. I've only learned from YouTube, honestly. I took home ec. Okay, I took home ec in middle school, and we did learn, I want to say we learned sewing machine basics, but I have no memory of it. But I did learn like how to hand sew for sure growing up, and that's always been handy. But sewing machine is a whole nother ball game, as you'll see. Okay, so I'm gonna do my 17 inches. I'm kind of got limited space right now, so that's what's causing a little bit of an issue here. And I'm trying to use my, cutting mat to help. Please don't judge me. That's another thing. For anyone watching this that's really good at sewing, please don't judge me. I'm doing the best I can, okay? Why don't you come in here and make a dollhouse, and I'll judge you. Why am I getting so defensive? So I'm gonna do 17 inches here. I'm gonna make a mark and then cut, give myself a little wiggle room here, and I'm gonna cut along here at like 18 inches. Just a rough cut. Because this is hanging off and I don't have a lot of space. Normally I would like clear this off. So I'm just gonna give myself a little wiggle room. Alright. Okay, so let's see. You can always fix it if I don't cut it the way I want it. And I'm just going to do as straight a cut as possible here to create my straight line. You're doing the best you can. This fabric has lines vertical, like this line on it, so I'm kind of trying to use that just to give myself a straight line to start with. Does that look straight to me? Yes. It may not be perfect, but it's close. Okay. And I'm just going to use this rotary tool so that I can cut as straight as possible along my ruler. It's a little bit of a thicker fabric, so, and I've got it doubled up. I'm going to use scissors to finish that off. Okay. All right. So now I have a straight line that'll make this a little bit easier to get a good cut. Okay, now I'm going to do the other side. Oh wait, right. I'm going to go across. Guys, I'm in control. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna get me a 17-inch. Okay, so now I feel like this is one of the simplest sewing projects you could do if you were just starting out, because it's just a square and it's straight lines and it's not clothing. I've never sewn a piece of clothing. I really want to one day. I actually got my niece a sewing class for Christmas, and I kind of want to take it with her. I'm going to call and see would they let adults take the class too, alongside the kids. So I'm excited about that. I want to learn like how to make clothes and like do it all. Okay, so now I've got, this is 17 here. It's roughly 17. And I just want to check up here, have I gone way off? No, it's still good. Okay, so now I'm going to measure this way. I mean, you could just use the mat to measure, but I'm also using this ruler to create the guide for the rotary cutter. And do, okay. All right, let's see if we can make this as square as possible. All right, here we go. Hey, looking good. All right, I'm gonna do one more cut because I want this to be exact. I don't want to cut along here with scissors because I think that kind of messed me up last time. Okay. All right, now I should have, let's just double check, 19. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is, so this is my outward facing part of the fabric. You want your outward pieces outward to outward. Does that make sense? Outward facing in. So you're gonna get your back, you're like, put it backwards. Line them up. I kind of want it to be exactly lined up the way I cut it so that it's easier. Okay. So, is that even? Yep. Okay. So now I've got my two pieces. Outward part, the outside facing in. And now there's different ways to do mark where you're gonna do a seam allowance. Some people don't need a mark. They just can use the sewing machine because they're really good at this. And there's like marks on the sewing machine that say like where your half inch is and stuff. I don't know if I feel that confident. I'm not the best sewing machine person. So I'm gonna actually draw a line because it just makes it much easier for me to stay straight. I hope that's okay. Of course it's okay. So I'm going to measure 1/2 inch from the edge. Oh, and I got this little tool to gauge. I have been meaning to get one of these forever because this helps you create like really even seam allowances. I'll show you how it works, but it's a gauge. And also this one, you can draw circles with it, which is kind of cool. Or like measure circle. I don't know if you can draw, but whatever. So the way it works is you line it up on your edge. I mean, not like that, sorry. I did it the opposite of how you're supposed to do it. So what I'm going to do is, I feel like the quote of the week for every episode is, so, all right, okay, what I'm going to do, what you're going to do, and I'm going to mark it here. Whoop. I don't know if it's meant for like literally drawing lines, but that's what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is, instead of going all the way up, well, I'm going to mark it here just to give myself, well, no. Guys, this is the episode where it all falls apart. This is the episode where you're like, you fucking idiot. Why am I watching this? I'm using these lines to make it square. And whoops, I need to get it up to where I had it here and use like, okay, so here, there, yeah. That looks pretty straight to me. And so you can see my cut maybe wasn't perfectly straight because I'm using the lines of the fabric. Again, guys, I feel embarrassed. Like I'm starting to blush. Like I do not know what the fuck I'm doing. But we're going to be in it. I'm showing you the bumps. Show me the bumps. I'm showing you the bumps. I'm not perfect. I know that you thought I was before. But I too make mistakes, you know? But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw a line. And I'm just going to go for it. I mean, that looks almost perfect, but I'm so scared that it's not. And it probably will be fine once it's in pillow shape because pillows are like kind of lumpy and bumpy. I mean, I gotta get a grip. I mean, because honestly, like when I get perfectionist sometimes and I'm hard on myself and I bully myself, I'm like, Sarah, what the hell? Like, the most mediocre people in the world run the world, right? They might be exceptional at being greedy, at being evil, but that doesn't mean they're smart. There's different kinds of smart. I mean, they've got 19-year-olds going in and like firing people who've been working in a place for 25 years. They don't know what they're doing. I know y'all know this, and we don't need to go there, but fuck. Why would you ever judge yourself after what's been going on for the past month? The sheer incompetency, the just crazy false lying and, you know, whatever. I am drawing a line because I want to be able to look at that line when I'm sewing. I'm going to give myself that grace. Okay. Just because I want to. Does that look right? I think it does. Now, this is key because I've made a lot of miniature pillows before by hand, and I do this almost every time. I forget to leave an opening to stuff it. You got to leave an opening. Now, there's different ways. I watched some other videos. There's the videos where there's the kind of pillowcase where it's folded over and it's almost like a I don't know how to explain it, but it's folded over and it's not an opening on the edge. And that's why I think people do that because it allows for an absolutely perfect straight line of stitching. Because when you leave an opening on the edge, then part of that is going to have to be hand sewn and it might not look as perfect, if that makes sense. Whatever, Sarah. Shut up. Shut up and sew. Okay, so what you're going to do is you want to leave open part of this. So at least 2 inches in, because you don't want it to be too close to the edge, because when you're stuffing, this could rip. At least from what I found, you don't want it to be there. Okay, so make a mark up here. Just so I can get a sense of what's even. Okay, I'm going to come in a few inches there. And it's really the size of the pillow and how mushy your pillow form is. I mean, you can get a lot through a small hole, but that's what she said anyway. So I'm leaving about this much. So whatever you leave open here is what you're going to have to sew by hand. There might be a machine way to do it, but I'm doing it by hand. So, you know, try to give yourself enough room to get in, but also, you know, what do I know? Okay, now I'm doing the best I fucking can. Now I'm going to use my little clippies, but you could also pin it with like regular sewing pins all around. So if you're going to use pins, if you don't have the clippies, you just go around and pin everything like that. And then as you sew, you take them out. Okay? So you can do it that way or the fancy way with these clips. I just think these clips, whatever, they're pleasing to me and they're a little bit easier to get in and out. And they keep the fabric really flat and it's not like that, you know. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. And these actually might even be like literally a 1/2 inch like seam allowance, like when you do that. I mean, because I can see it like matching up. But again, I want my line because don't trust myself. I mean, even with the line, you'll see like I'm not really great with the sewing machine. So I'm just gonna go through and get all these together. So how are y'all? Huh? Let's pause that for now. We're gonna go all around. It's just something so satisfying about this square and like the clips, and it's just really fun. It's a sensory experience. I'm gonna have I actually am having an extremely busy week because a couple things are happening. I have to go to New York on Monday for the Comic Relief show. I'm only going to be in New York for one night because I teach a stand-up class here in town, and I have to I have the showcase, like the students are doing their show, their graduation show Sunday night, so I'm not going to miss that. They're my babies. I'm not going to miss my children graduating. Some of them are older than me. But it's a really good group in this class. This is my second time teaching a class. I learned a lot the first time around, and I'm learning a lot now. And this time it's a really good group, and I'm excited to see them perform. I really didn't know if I would like teaching stand-up. I think I had a stigma in my head, like that old phrase, those who can't teach. I think that's just that phrase is just made up to hurt people's feelings. Like it's an asshole thing to say. And it just doesn't hold out as being true. I think maybe the motto could be, you don't have to be the thing to teach it. Like, I don't think you have to be a best-selling author to teach people how to write a book. Does that make sense? I don't think you have to be able to dunk a basketball to be able to teach people how to play basketball, to be a coach. You just have to know a lot about what you're doing. And coaching is not the same as doing, which is true. Teaching is not the same thing as doing. So, but I would say there's a good phrase of like, those who did might be able to teach. So I've done stand-up for 22 years, and that doesn't mean automatically that I would be a good teacher, though. Trust me, I remember in college there was like some published author that was like a guest visiting professor, And he was one of the worst teachers I've ever had. He was such a piece of shit. I'm not going to say his name because he's like still out there. He was like published in the New Yorker or some shit. Anyway, I thought he was a terrible teacher, but everyone was like, ooh, he's published. So anyway, I don't know where I'm rambling now, but I had stigma against myself for doing this at first. I was like, well, this means, because I'm going through a lot of like trying to confront what my career is now, what it meant to me, how much my identity is wrapped up in it. And, you know, am I a failure? Obviously not. I've achieved a lot. Like, I've done almost everything I dreamed of doing, which is insane. Like, some of the stuff I've gotten to do, it's rare. It's hard to do. I've met incredible people. I've traveled all over the world. I've accomplished things that are very hard to accomplish, especially now the older and more further into the business I get. I realize, wow, back when I got that was rare what happened, and I was very lucky. But also it was a testament to my hard work and talent as well. So it's something I should be proud of. But teaching felt like a step backwards, but I think that was just a mental block that I was using to, like an unfair measuring stick, especially given the circumstances that are out of my control. I'm not getting paid that much to teach these classes, like barely anything. It's almost like an honorarium. I'm getting paid like a small stipend to do it because the theater that I'm doing it through is nonprofit. And I love what their mission is, and I love like their whole vibe. So I've been getting more involved with it. It's called Coalition Theater. They're awesome. But I didn't expect to really like to love the teaching as much as I have. Like to love, as I sit here doing a whole show teaching people how to make crafts. But I didn't expect to love it as much. And I was worried I was going to be too bitter. That was what I was really worried about. That I was just going to be like, you fucking idiots. You think you know what's funny? You think you know how to do stand-up? Well, sit down and shut up. You know, like, but it's not like that at all. It's like joyous. And I love encouraging people and getting, like, seeing people who have no intention of becoming professional comedians doing this thing that scares them. It's really, kind of really special. So anyway, I'm rambling. The class is on Sunday. The next day I have to go to New York. And then the next day I'm going to the Dominican Republic. I've never been there. My husband, Scott, is going on tour. He works for the band Tool. I don't know if you've heard of them. You may or may not have. If you were a guy in the 90s, if you were a teenage guy or college guy in the 90s, you know who Tool is. Otherwise, you may or may not. No offense. I mean, they're huge. They sell out arenas. They're like a huge band. Anyway, Scott, they're going on a South American tour, and I get to go to the first week, which is in Dominican. It's like this festival they're doing, and I can't wait. So let's get back to it, shall we? Okay, so now I am going to introduce the tool of the week. The tool of the week is the sewing machine. I have one of the most basic beginner level sewing machines, like maybe a step above like a kid's sewing machine. I mean, although I think kids could learn on this, older kids. This is one of the most basic sewing machines you can get. I've had it for years, and I've probably used it 10 times. And every single time I use it, even if it's only been a week or two in between, but it's usually months and months, if not years apart. Every single time I use this thing, I have to relearn it. It's just one of those things, I think, unless you use it a lot, it's just the intricacies of threading it and all those things. It's easy to forget if you don't do it a lot. And every time I'm trying to get over the intimidation factor of not wanting to do a project because I don't want to have to go through relearning it every time and not feel confident. But without getting too off the rails as I already am, this is a very basic sewing machine, and I recently did a project on this like curtain that I was trying to add some decorative stitching to, just straight lines. They're not straight, but it actually kind of looks kind of cool. But anyway, I was like making this curtain for part of our house, and wanted to add a little decor to it. And in that, it was a really big project, and it took a long time, and it was challenging to do it on this tiny little machine. But I learned a lot because it was something that took a while, and so I started to get used to it. So I would say if you're intimidated, take a class. YouTube. I mean, thank God they show you this exact machine. There are videos showing you what to do. Every little problem. Why is the thread coming out of the needle? It'll say it's probably one of these things, you know. I invested in what's called a walking foot. That's what this is. It's a different kind. This little thing here, it's called a foot. There's different kinds for different types of sewing. I got the walking foot to help with some really thick fabric, layers of fabric that I was pushing through there. But I've also learned that the walking foot is helpful for people who are trying to do straight lines and maybe aren't as good. So I've just left it on for this, and the sample one I made, it did work fine. I'm using on this one a regular needle, a standard needle. I bought some heavy duty ones for that big project I did. So that's another thing, like, I'm learning, like, oh, really? Like, I've gotten frustrated with sewing before because things would break. Like, I've broken needles, it's gotten jammed, and I would get frustrated and, like, give up. But what I've learned is if you just calm down and look it up, you'll realize, well, maybe I didn't have the right needle, or there's a different foot. You know, you don't necessarily need some huge, big, fancy machine. You just need to know how to use it. There's a lot you can do with this little machine. So I'm not going to get too much into the intricacies of what I'm doing here, because I honestly don't think it's a good idea for you to listen to me when it comes to the sewing machine. I think you should look up videos, like, if you're like, well, how did she thread it? Like, honestly, look, I don't even know what to call all the different parts. So if you're not using a sewing machine, I'm not going to waste time talking about something that you don't know, you don't even have. But if you are comfortable with a sewing machine, then you don't need to hear me do all the details. But if you're in that in-between where you have a sewing machine but you're not comfortable, my recommendation is just look up videos on how to do these basic steps, because whatever I tell you is not going to be good. So pause the video, go learn it, and then come back. So what you're going to do, because, like, and I watch a lot of sewing videos that assume you know certain basics. Okay, so I don't know why I'm overly explaining this. So what I'm going to do is start with the first short, like, edge where this is open. I'm going to start with this. You can start it however you want, but this is just how I'm going to do it. And I'm going to get in there. I'm using a heavy duty thread because that's what I had in there. But you can totally use regular thread for this, I think. This is kind of a thick fabric, and, you know, I want it to last, so heavy duty thread is fine. I had to, like, fiddle with the tension and things like that, because the last settings I had on here were for this other project. So make sure you take the time, test it, you know. And so anyway, I'm going to sew this along my line that I drew. Or you can give yourself a 1/2 inch or so of allowance. I'm okay. I can see that this might be a little more than 1/2 inch. It's fine. The pillow form will fit, okay? So one thing I always do is I forget to put this little guy down, the foot. And I'm, like, so scared right now. So it's gonna get fucked up. Show the bumps. Show me the bumps. I'm showing you the bumps. It's all gonna be okay. If Elon Musk and a 19-year-old named Big Balls can just walk into a historical branch of our government office and just fire hundreds of people and decide we don't need it anymore, then I can sew a goddamn accent pillow without knowing goddamn shit about a sewing machine, right? I'm fine. Here we go. Immediately an explosion. Where I'm, like, bleeding, like, spurting blood out of my hand. All right, here we go. We're doing it. Is everything how it's supposed to be? Okay, yes, okay. I'm just gonna go forward a little bit. Now, one thing I learned too that I didn't realize, you can slow down on the sewing machine. You don't have to go super fast. When you see, like, you know, Project Runway or professional people sewing, they're like, you know, like, you can use your pedal, like your foot thingy. Again, don't listen to me for the terms You can slowly go if you're nervous. So I'm just gonna go forward a little bit, and then I'm actually gonna sew backwards. I'm gonna go in reverse to just reinforce these stitches on the end, okay? And then forward again. Take my little clip out as I go, and go to the edge. And then I'm gonna lift the foot up, okay, and turn it. This is one thing that took me a while to realize, like, oh, you don't have to like cut it every single time you want to make a new like angle. You can just leave it in there. And that might seem obvious to you, but that was just something that didn't seem intuitive to me at first. Okay, so now, one thing I've noticed too that really, I mean, this is basic sewing stuff, is like making sure you're not too, you know, you're straight and you've got plenty of runway to work with so that it's not pulling in the wrong direction. Okay, here we go. We're going back to it. Oh God, oh God, oh God. Here we go. Oh, I'm sewing! Ah! Oh, turn back! Ah! Also, always check to make sure that it's actually sewing, because if your little bobbin thread that comes up from the bottom isn't in there, I mean, if you've sewn, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've like sewn a big thing and then you realize it didn't even do it because your little bobbin thread wasn't threaded correctly. Okay, here we go. Anytime I feel like I'm losing control, I just stop. And yeah, I might be a little off the line, but I'm just gonna correct gently, slowly, and get back on course. I'm gonna go ahead and take these out. This fabric is like it's just sort of sticks together easily, so, oh, careful. You can't really see my seam, but I think it's good. Okay, I came to the corner. And once again, I'm gonna just go a little bit further and then lift the foot and turn. Okay, line it up again. See, if I go too fast is when I start to like lose control, but the walking foot does help keep the fabric from going all willy-nilly, which is what I really like about it. It pulls the fabric. I don't know, the walking foot, I don't know exactly the mechanism, but it pulls the fabric itself, whereas when you don't use that, you have to actually push the fabric more yourself. This foot kind of helps it along. Like, I don't want to screw this up, but if I let go, it would kind of be going forward, right? I guess. There we go. We're still going. We're still going. Now, if there's ever a problem, like I'm amazed that I haven't run into a major issue yet. But if your thread is coming out, if it's jamming, a couple big things I've always learned is, if you're one of the beginners like me, never do your manual. So you can manually sew with this knob on the side. And that's just like the same motion as it going fast, but you're doing it manually. So if you ever need to like really slow down and do something very detailed, you can do it manually. Never go backwards. That's what I've been told. Don't go backwards because it fucks it up. And yeah, I'm gonna continue on. Okay. Lifting and turning. Do we have a seam? Yes. Okay. Go back a little bit. All right. This is very soothing and very satisfying to do. That's why I want to get better at it, because it's just really fun. I mean, ultimately, my goal and dream has always been to make quilts. Like that is something that's like my white whale. And I know anybody can start quilting, and I finally have more space to do it. I've just had other things, and I feel like it's one of those things I really want to take. I know when I start quilting, I'm going to go hardcore into it. And so I know it's a big commitment because I want to make like big quilts. I don't want to make little tiny ones. I want to make big ones. And I want them to be crazy. But I got to learn the basics. So I will have to start with something small. And I have done some very basic type of quilting before that then I abandoned or whatever. But I'm really, really interested in quilting. One day. Okay. What am I doing? Okay. Turning. I think I'm on the last one. I'm only going to go a few inches in because I need to leave my opening. And then we'll see. Did this baby work or did I fail? Oh, put the foot down. Oh, see, I didn't. Wait a minute. I knew I was going to fuck it up. You fucked it up again. I'm going to reclip so I don't lose. I can see either I didn't have the foot down. Something went wrong on this side. See? It didn't even work. Okay, I'm going to need to... Okay, see now I need to cut it. And I need to pull out this little piece that's... Ooh, I don't like to thread this needle because it's just... I gotta get this green thread out of there. Okay, I've lost the bobbin thread. Okay, that's what happened. I said, don't lose your bobbin thread. I might actually even be out of thread down there, which could be the problem. Let's check. And yes, I do not, so if you don't use a sewing machine, this is the bobbin, I think. And this has thread on it, and I'm out, so I need to replace it. So let's do it. I might have some in here. Here we go. I've got some right here. We'll just use this one. Okay. Now, this is one of those things that, again, almost every single time I sew, I have to look this up because I'm pretty sure the way to do it is you just drop it in and it's supposed to go clockwise. That's the part that I'm always like, is it? And then you go through this little thing and then I've got this going clockwise. And then you just, I'm actually going to cut it so that it's not so long. And you right, that's right. Okay. And then it should pull the thread up. Yep. Done. All right. God. See, I would love to get through one sewing project where I don't have to do some crazy shit. I don't remember how to, it's not crazy, it's normal, but I have to relearn it every time. All right, so I'm going to go back to that point that I was at. I think I'm okay not to pin it. No, let's not get lazy. All right, let's get back to it. All right, I'm going to go back to where I was and overlap it just a little. Okay. Please, God, work. I have to wait a little bit. Let's see, did it sew? Yes, it did. Slow it down, Schaefer. I bet you fancier sewing machines, you have better you better have better control on the pedal. This one's a little wonky. And just do a few inches on this side to leave the opening. And then I'm going to sew backwards just a little to reverse. Okay. Now, when you're taking it out, you always have to make sure the needle's up, because I've done that before and broken the needle. All right, here we go. Moment of truth. Did it sew? Did I sew? Yes, I did. All right, I'm gonna move this over here. What you want to do before you turn this inside out is cut, just trim your corners. Cut diagonally, but don't cut through where the stitches are, so that it reduces the bulk, and you get some sharper corners when you turn it inside out. Okay. Now, let's turn it inside out. All right. And I'm going to go to the corners and like really stick my finger up in there, but also you could use like a pen or something to really get your corners like turned out. Okay. So in this corner, here we go. Ow. One more. That's fine. I just want that corner to look a little bit better. Let me see if I can do it with my finger instead. That's good. Good enough. All right, so now to close it. All right, now what I want is to iron. I just want to make this as straight looking as possible, because that's going to make a difference in the overall look of the pillow, I think. Okay. Let's iron it. Okay. I'm going to flip it over so I can try to get a good crease on. All right, here we go again. Oh no, wait, I want to clip so that I don't rip the hell out of this thing. I'm going to try to... Well, I just dumped a bunch of stuff on the ground. Who cares? If you could see the mess that's like off camera, you'd be like, Sarah, you need help. Okay. Now, hopefully what I just did makes it. All right, now I am gonna clip this because, you know, it's wanting to pop open. Okay, so the way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna do what's called an invisible stitch. I'm not an expert at this. Really, Sarah? Let's move the iron so I don't burn myself during this process. In fact, let's unplug it. All right, so to do the invisible stitch, I'm actually just gonna pull some thread out of the machine because I'm being lazy. I'm using this heavy duty thread because as I can see it, I don't want it to come loose. So far, I'm really liking this. So to do the invisible stitch, I'm gonna thread a needle, tie a knot here, and thread the needle. I'm gonna use this little needle threader. And I use this also on the sewing machine when I'm using the heavy duty thread, because the sewing machine is hard to thread with a thicker thread. And there we go. Okay, I've got my thread. And what I'm going to do, let's see if I can show you this angle. See it started to pull apart. So I'm going to go a little further back where the sewing machine stitching is, just to double it up. Hold on here. Let me get rid of that. Okay, tie another knot. Show me the bumps. Show me the bumps. Okay. Here we go. Now, got my knot. Now I'm going to go, like, try to get up in there from, like, beneath. Oh, wait, I want to go overlap with where the... Okay. I'm trying to... Oh, come on, you little son of a bitch. All right. You don't want it all the way up on the edge. You want it on the inside. All right, that should tuck in better. Okay. Now, the opposite side of where you poked it in, you're going to go to the other side, go underneath the fold, and then out. And then the key to this stitch is to go directly across. It's hard to see with my dark thread, but so this is where the thread is coming out. Go directly across to the other side and go under again. Okay. And then directly across. So like I'm pulling it to see where that is. Under. And then I think you don't have to pull it quite taut because I'm going to show you. It sort of starts creating like a little lace, like shoelace look. That doesn't make sense. Don't listen to me. Okay, making sure it's not showing through. So see how it's like that? I don't know if you can see, but then when you pull it, it'll get tight there. Okay, so I'm going to loosen it up a little so I can see what I'm doing. Directly across each time. And this is going to take me a minute, but I'm going to like change angles here. And hopefully you saw. All right. Directly across. Tighten as I go. I'm going to look at it and see. And I'm, okay, looking good so far. Now I'm going to turn it towards me and we can just chat. I was thinking about doing an episode about like unfinished projects. Like, let's finish a project that we've been leaving in the corner. Like, that, I think that'd be fun. I'm trying to get, oh, this is most comfortable. Yes, yes. I've been watching, well, I finished it last night, but I watched the, that show, 0 Day. I don't know why I am intent on watching shows that are like a little too close to reality in terms of end of the world, hackers. The show Paradise, I think, is like so good, but it really, even though it's so implausible, like, do we really think we could build an entire, well, I shouldn't say anything because the first episode is like worth the big twist at the end of the episode. So I'm not going to say anything. Just know that it's implausible. Or maybe it isn't. I don't know. But the theme of the show has like, there's this like oligarch basically. And it reminds me of like, oh, the person who's president may not be the one really in power at a certain point in the show. And so, that show, and then like Night Agent, like all these shows about like government spies and shit falling apart societally speaking. I don't know why. I think it's just easier for me to, like, I'm getting my feelings out about it and knowing it's not real, but then you just sort of get freaked out because you're like, this is like, I'm like watching, and now I'm afraid because what if this is really going to happen? I mean, Handmaid's Tale for me, it has gotten to that territory at times where I'm like, this is, well, I don't know. It's like one of my favorite shows of all time. Like I loved the book. So, and I think the show is very well done. I'm not someone who's like, it's not the same as the book, so I don't like it. Like, I'm not that type of person. I can view them as separate entities. But it has taken on a very eerie feeling over the years because of the rights and things that have been starting to be chipped away. And I keep thinking right now about when, I think it was in maybe in season 1, but showing like how they got to this point. And what's her name? The main character. I always want to say of Fred, but it's not. That's not her. June. How, you know, she's like dismissive of like things that are happening, and thinking, well, they're not gonna take away our freedoms, are they? And then like one day she shows up to work and like she can't access her credit card gets denied. She's been laid off from work because women aren't allowed to work anymore. Like, those seem like extreme things, but it shows the progression of small things that then add up to what was going on. And so I've thought about that a lot. But also, the show, just the way the characters have evolved, I think it's so good. There was an episode last season where June and Serena Joy have like a really intense episode together, and it's all about reckoning and and forgiveness and empathy, and like, I mean, it's just one of the most beautiful episodes of TV I've ever seen. It's the one where Serena Joy gives birth. I mean, that if you haven't been watching the show, then I'm sorry, but like, catch up. It's been years. No, it is, and it was actually, I didn't realize it at the time, but a sort of, not close friend, but a person I've been friendly with for years, Rachel Schukert, I might be saying her name wrong. She wrote that episode, and I had lunch with her, dinner with her sometime, I think it was during the writer's strike. And I was like, I saw that you wrote that episode, and I just want you to know it's like one of the best episodes of TV I've ever seen. It was just really cool to be able to, that's one thing I love about LA. And just like the job that I've had over these 2 decades is being able to meet people that make the things I love. Because even though I'm someone who creates things, I'm a audience member. Like, I fan out. I'm a stan about certain, I'll never go to that level, but, like, I'm not someone who, my whole identity is, I'm a fan of this or that, but I've never been that way. The closest I came probably was Tori Amos. Like, I was really into her, but I was not like calling because they did, even back in the day, they like, you would have a name like Deadhead, or, you know, I think they called themselves Fairies. Faeries. Okay, so I'm getting to the end of this, and I probably lost the thread on the conversation, but not on the project. I know where that thread is. Oh, we're just going to sew it up. Sew it up. You know what? And I think sewing is probably a really great skill for a lot of people to learn right now. Because of like people wanting to make their own clothes, upcycling, but also like, again, if we have to do surgery in a pinch, like when, you know, when Civil War starts, like I'm going to have to amputate a leg in a pinch, or, you know, stitch up someone's wounds on the battlefield. Like, I got to make myself valuable, right? I got to bring some kind of skill to my end of the world group. You know, it can't just be like, oh, I can tell jokes. You guys want me to write a quick speech for the awards ceremony we're going to have around the fire in the tunnels where we live? I actually wrote a whole little piece about that, like what I contribute to your group at the end of the world. Okay, I'm going to try to, I think this is probably as good as I'm going to get. I'm trying to hide this. I'm gonna do this, pull it through. I'm just pulling it through on like the edge, and I'm gonna cut it, and it'll well, I'm wondering. Yeah, I stitched over what I had sewn with the sewing machine so that they overlap. So hopefully that will be enough to like keep it from, okay, we've done it. I'm gonna survey my work. I'm gonna be gentle with myself. It looks pretty good. I made a pillow. That's the first time I've done that. I mean, past the test one, but I love this fabric. It's so pretty. I want to like upholster everything. I want to make a ton of pillows out of this. But you know how people do this thing? I actually never really liked this look, but I guess it's what you're whoops. I guess it's what you're supposed to do. Where they go karate chop the pillow. See, that looks good on that one, but you know how sometimes people have got it like this on their couch? I just think that's like kind of obnoxious. I don't know. I'm sure there's some sort of interior decorator reason. But look at my pillow. I'm so excited. Yay. Guys, thank you so much for another week, another episode. And thanks for taking a look at my bumps. Hopefully I don't have the mange. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I am going to work on this now. After I push stop, which is Scott has been asking me to repair this little satchel for his Mandalorian figure, okay? Action figure. Guess what this satchel's for? It's for Baby Yoda. It's for Baby Yoda to ride in. It's his little baby carrier. But anyway, it came apart and I have to sew it for him. So I'm going to do that now while I've got the stuff out. Anyway, thanks guys. Send me an email with your creations, craftingthroughit@gmail.com. I love you so much. Goodbye.